According to Harvard University, over the past 5 years, Uzbekistan has improved its position in the Economic Complexity Index by 25 points. National producers have gained a competitive advantage in 162 product categories in the global market. As a result, exports have increased 2.2 times, and foreign trade now accounts for 57% of the gross domestic product, demonstrating a high level of integration with global markets. However, the current global economic environment remains unstable. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev chaired the video conference meeting to discuss steps to minimize the negative impact of global economic fluctuations on key industries in the country.
Within just a few days, international financial markets lost nearly $10 trillion. Due to high tariffs, experts forecast a decline in global trade turnover by $3.5 trillion, while global inflation may reach 7.58%. The greatest risk lies in potential disruptions to supply chains and production of high value-added goods, similar to the challenges faced during the pandemic. This situation threatens major sectors such as textiles, electrical engineering, automotive, and food processing, all of which rely heavily on exports. These conditions will lead to intense and relentless competition on international markets. The president stressed the need to move forward with boldness and confidence, primarily relying on domestic resources and internal potential. He urged the heads of ministries, agencies, and regional governments to develop concrete action plans and personally oversee production and export efforts. The government plans to introduce all necessary legal, organizational, and practical measures to better understand business challenges. Authorities recently held meetings with over 3,000 entrepreneurs. Most of their concerns related to the standardization and certification system. Authorities identified that more than 25,000 standards and 41 technical regulations in use today failed to meet international requirements. Outdated norms and bureaucratic barriers hamper entrepreneurs and create opportunities for corruption. Businesses continue to face issues with repeated and redundant certification procedures. Investors also pointed out that many local laboratories do not meet international standards, and Uzbekistan does not recognize many foreign certifications. As a result, exporters often send their product samples abroad for certification. They also express concern about conflicts of interest, since certification bodies also carry out oversight functions. During the meeting, the president announced that he had signed a decree to stimulate entrepreneurship and improve trade and industrial policies. The decree clearly separates the functions of technical regulation bodies, sanitary and epidemiological services, veterinary departments, and quarantine authorities. Authorities will gradually eliminate redundant and overlapping procedures. For instance, the Committee for Sanitary and Epidemiological Well-being and Public Health will exclusively monitor the quality and safety of food products. Authorities will remove mandatory technical regulations and standards for food products. They will align sanitary rules and norms for essential foods with the International Codex Alimentarius system. Officials will also eliminate state registration requirements for 7 groups of high-risk goods. The government plans to reduce the list of products requiring mandatory certification and introduce a system of self-declaration of conformity. For imports of equipment, raw materials, special machinery, and vehicles, authorities will apply international standards already recognized in Uzbekistan without requiring national certificates. Officials highlighted the need to pass a law on market surveillance. They also emphasized the importance of training highly qualified professionals in standardization, sanitary inspection, and quarantine. The meeting also focused on supporting local businesses and expanding domestic production and exports. According to the decree, Uzbekistan will fully align the customs valuation of imported goods with international regulations. Starting July 1st, the government will lift all export restrictions on goods and introduce export duties on 68 groups of raw materials and socially important products. Officials noted that local councils have the authority to set higher coefficients for land tax and lease payments. However, they must carefully evaluate the potential impact on businesses. By easing the tax burden and supporting business growth, the government can increase state budget revenues. Entrepreneurs will be allowed to pay these taxes in 2 installments per year. The president instructed responsible officials to prepare proposals for improving tax and customs policy and administration, involving both scholars and business people in the process. Finally, he called on the Prime Minister, his deputies, ministries, and regional governors to maintain constant dialogue with producers and exporters and to respond quickly to their concerns and challenges. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev received a briefing on progress in the energy sector and the implementation of new projects. The government identified hydropower and nuclear energy as the most promising directions. In 2025-2026, authorities plan to build 2,983 micro-hydropower plants with a total capacity of 167 megawatts. These facilities will generate 500 million kilowatt-hours of clean energy annually and help save 151 million cubic meters of natural gas. During construction, 1,200 200 workers will be involved, and after commissioning, the plants will employ 520 permanent staff. The Ministry of Energy shared details about the project scheduled for this year. In 2025, the ministry aims to launch 1,185 micro hydropower plants with a combined capacity of 65 megawatts, with private entrepreneurs financing most of the projects. Officials also plan to develop nuclear energy as a key energy source. Specialists are currently working on a project to build a small-scale nuclear power plant. The International Atomic Energy Agency will oversee all stages of the project, from design to launch, ensuring compliance with global best practices and safety standards. The head of the Usatom Agency reported on the agreements reached, the status of the negotiations and the progress of the project. The president instructed responsible officials to commission the facilities on schedule and ensure they provide additional energy to the population and key economic sectors.